Like to call a meeting to order. First, we have some housekeeping. March 6th is World Lymphedema Day. Lymphedema is a chronic and debilitating disease that affects many people in our province. March 6th of each year is internationally recognized as World Lymphedema Day to raise awareness about this disease and the treatment options available. The town has signed a proclamation for support and awareness. Purple Day is a global effort to promote epilepsy awareness in countries around the world. Purple Day will be celebrated on March 26th annually to increase the understanding, reduce stigma, and improve quality of life for people living with epilepsy throughout the country and globally. The town has signed a proclamation of awareness and this support. Please wear purple on March 26th to support epilepsy awareness. Condolences to former employee John Bruce and the passing of his mother, Miss Annie Bruce. Our thoughts and prayers are with John and his family during this difficult time. Adoption of the agenda dated March 15, 2022, moved by Deputy Mayor Power, seconded by Councillor Smith. Any questions or comments? Motion carried. Adoption of the minutes dated February 15, 2022. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Power. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Motion carried. Next, we got the business arising. Any business arising? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Any new business of council? And we'll start with the executive committee first.
We're losing you, Keith.
You're losing me here?
Yeah, you're breaking up.
Good. The executive committee met on March 9th, 2022 via Zoom. In attendance was myself, the chair, Deputy Mayor Power, and Councillor Fitzpatrick. CAO Jonathan Gallagher and the executive assistant Catherine Smith was recording. Few things we did talk about. We're in the process of doing some union negotiations. Just to let everybody know. The strategic plan, LW Consulting requested a meeting with council. Council will extend an invitation for early in April. The economic development position is moving along and management is in the process of hiring a person for that position. So right now the applications just are coming, so that'll be a review process. We did have some conversations with the food bank, determined if there's some space within the local area. They are having trouble with space and getting things done, so that is something that we're in conversations with the local food bank on and how we can help that out. Policing, we're going to schedule a meeting with the RCMP for corporal and staff to discuss the shortages and operations within the town, and certainly with concerns of the ongoing issues that we've seen in the last month. That certainly has the town on edge, so we certainly will be bringing that forward, making sure that it's addressed in a timely manner and proper policing and staffing is in place in order to protect the residents of the town of Essentia. Eastern Health, we have requested a meeting with Eastern Health and President David Diamond. We will send something out to council on that within the next couple of days. We do look like we have a date confirmed. Just want to send it to council to make sure it's good. So you expect to see something on that, and they have confirmed a date to meet. Other business that we have, there's been inquiries regarding the jobs at the local wellness center. The CAO reached out to Olympic and they provided us with some information. So council has received that, and we certainly direct any residents that are looking for jobs in the right direction there. We're talking about delinquent property and tax payments initiatives. So we're going to start the process of tax sales. Anybody who's owed money on tax properties around the town and are not being looked after, we will move forward in a direction of doing tax sales on these and selling the properties and cleaning them up. The condition of the provincial roads. As you know, we wrote the premier and the transportation minister to visit our area with regards to the conditions of the roads around the town, whether it be southeast, Route 100, Argentia access, coming up Jersey Hill, a loop in Freshwater. These are just some of the issues and concerns with roads, not to mention ditching and other concerns that we have that need to be addressed through the Department of Transportation. So we're looking to get a meeting with them and have our concerns addressed. Up until now, I don't believe we had heard from the premier or the transportation minister, but yesterday was a holiday, of course. I know they started in the house today, so I'm hoping within the next few days that we'll hear something back on them with regards to the meeting to bring them to the area to actually see what the concerns are. Other than that, there was no other further business. The meeting was over at around 8 o'clock. Anybody got any questions or concerns of the executive? Of course, we do not have no recommendations at this time. Hearing none, we'll move on to the Finance Committee. Councillor Smith, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The Finance Committee met by Zoom on March the 8th, and in attendance, I was there as chair, Councillor Jennifer Power, Deputy Mayor Wayne Power, Mary Green, Manager of Finance, Jonathan Galgay, CAO, and Catherine Smith, Executive Assistant and Recorder. The meeting was called to order at 5:05. And the following recommendations: that council approve payment of invoice from Byron D. Smith Professional Corporation in the amount of $16,962.50 for services rendered for accounting and auditing services for 2020.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Deputy Mayor Power. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion carried.
That council approve payment of invoice from Workplace Newfoundland in the amount of $25,545.40 for workers' compensation.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Wilson. Any questions or comments? Would this be just a regular billing that Workplace NL issues to the town, Councillor Smith?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
All
it's
those
done. It's done then in April and June, right? An equal amount comes out in April and June, and September and December of $6,386.35 to make up the total amount.
Thank you, Councillor Smith.
Yeah.
All those in favor? Motion carried.
That council approved the accounts payable transactional journal dated March 4th, 2022 in the amount of $25,309.89.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Deputy Mayor Power. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion carried.
The council approved the check register for the operating account in the amount of $148,278.54 for checks numbered 030076 to 030142.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Williams. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion carried.
That council approved the check register for the special accounts in the amount of $947.92.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Fitzpatrick. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion carried.
That council approved to close out RBC account 09403 103539. It was used for the wayfinding project. As the project is completed and the account is no longer active.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Deputy Mayor Power. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion carried.
That council approved payment of Visa statements dated January the 28th to February the 28th, 2022 in the amount of $5,852.49.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Power. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion carried.
That council approve a one-time only interest adjustment to account number CBD-001 in the amount of $193.50. The account is paid in full.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Wilson. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion carried.
That council approve a business tax adjustment to account number PAWS.001 in the amount of $379.17 as the business ceased operation as per a letter received dated March 4th, 2022.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Deputy Mayor Power. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion carried.
That council approve gold level sponsorship for advertising in the Placentia Intertown Minor Hockey Association Tournament booklet at a cost of $300.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Power. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion carried.
That council approved to continue support and partnership with the Freshwater Community Center to operate the summer recreation program within the existing budget.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Fitzpatrick. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion carried.
And that's the report, Mayor.
I only got one question. I thought, I sent the request, maybe it got missed. Search and rescue request that was, we're looking at the budget. They had reached out to me wondering about the decision on what decision. So if the finance committee could look at that on the next month, it'd be greatly appreciated. I know the letter came in. I think we just got to make a decision on what it is. So the finance can look at that, it'd be great. Anything else from anyone? Hearing none, we'll move on to the Public Works and Public Safety Committee. Councillor Wilson.
Public Works and Public Safety Committee met on March 7, 2022 in the council chambers. In attendance were myself as chair, Councillor Fitzpatrick, Councillor Williams, staff in attendance, Adam Green, Public Works Superintendent, and Miss Debbie Gare, Special Projects Coordinator. It was moved to adopt the minutes of the meeting. It's also moved to adopt the minutes of the meeting for February 7th, 2022, sorry. Business arising, Placentia Volunteer Fire Brigade required an industrial use washer and dryer, which the town is going to purchase. Public Works Superintendent will speak to CAO about sourcing and ordering these units.
That is, I guess that is something that is very important when you're looking at commercial washer and dryer now with the,
Yes.
I guess the mitigations that need to be put in place for fire departments in order to address the concerns. I guess there's new criteria to be met for fire departments across the island. And this is one of the things that certainly we need to bring it up to a standard where it is acceptable. And I think this is certainly a step forward to get this done. I'm sure the fire department would be a welcome addition to there.
Public Works and Safety Committee has no recommendations at this time. But we've request from residents, request for an installation of a speed sign in the southeast was addressed. Because this is a provincial owned road, the town does not have discretion or permission or permissibility to install the same. However, temporary solar signs will be installed in the requested area in the effort to reduce speed. Also, speed bumps were requested for Humphrey Street and Jersey Side. Committee frowned on this setting a precedent by arbitrarily putting in a one speed bump when so many had been requested and received. So many requests have been received. After lengthy discussion, it was recommended not to approve the request at this time, but conduct research on the types, locations, and pricing of same. Based on information received, and policies should be developed by the town in the use of speed bumps.
Quick question on that. I have people talk about that, and that has been a topic certainly of my couple of tenures on council. would there be a willingness to do like a pilot project and see how it works for a year and be able to give residents to give back some input on some of these speed bumps, and because it might affect people differently. It could be negatively or positively depending on the same area. So maybe doing something like that, is that possible?
No, yes, I would think so. Yeah, we'll have to have a look at that. Yeah, and come up with an area. I'll talk to the superintendent on that one.
There might be some pilot projects where we can move to different locations. I mean, we're not picking one, but move to different locations within the town with regards to safety and where kids are hanging out and where they see the need for it. Certainly might be a good opportunity to do that.
Yes, there are units that you can buy that are movable, and you're able to install them. They're rubber, constructed of rubber.
Mayor, although the request was not approved at this time, that is exactly what we were talking about, was to go out and gather some information on the types, locations, and pricing with respect to that. And based on that, with the information that comes back, is to look at potential sites or, whether or not the town would be using speed bumps. Because there's pros and cons to both. So it wasn't that there's no more discussion with respect to this. It was, we just need to conduct some information before making a decision.
Okay, another thing that I know I've seen around in municipalities use these signs with people on, like kids with backpacks in the school zone area, will like slow down on them. Even some things like that could be possibly used. I mean, it's all to mitigate the speed that's going on within the towns and the areas that are of concern. So anything like that would certainly be welcome.
Yeah.
There's also a strobe light that you can get for crossings and things like that as well, right?
Certainly. So anyway, let the committee look at it and see what they can come
And
back.
then the flip side of that, Mayor, is also if there is a speed bump going on a roadway, whoever's house, depending on the types of vehicles that are going over that, they could hear all day long and all night long. So that's some of the discussion.
And I think that's why we do a pilot project and allow residents to actually, come back with feedback to the council to say, okay, here's some of the things, issues we had, concerns, and how we can improve upon that, or whatever decision of the committee and the council is after that point. Certainly a good point. Go
Okay,
ahead, Mr.
okay, thank you. Other topics, procurement updates. Standing offer for gas purchases will go to Griffith's Gas Bar, who submitted a discount price of 3.5 cents per liter. I guess that'll stand even though the price has gone up. Next, the low bidder on the standing offer for pest control was Able Pest Control, who priced at $360 per year for each town in the 5 facilities: Cultural Interpretation Center, Art Center, Town Hall, Unity Park, and the Public Works Depot. Tender has also been issued for standing offer on equipment, and results will be shared with the council when tenders are opened. Also, quotes have been sought for the supply and installation of a mini split for the Cultural Interpretation Center. These quotes will be submitted to Newfoundland Power requesting funding for support under Take Charge Newfoundland program. Also, street sweeping and line painting quotes were requested in April. Generally, the municipality roads are swept and those curbs. Council will reach out to Public Works Superintendent with suggestions. The CAO will ask to speak to the Port of Argentia about line painting to the Synovus site, which was brought up in a meeting last year, I believe. Also, the town paving standing offer is in place until April, with the possibility of renewal for 6 months. Public Works Superintendent will reach out to contractor to discuss. Also, we had a work order review. Staff have received just under 170 calls from the Public Works Assistant by the end of February. 92 of these files have been closed. The rest have been prioritized for action. Most were categories were roads, general maintenance, water and sewer, but not include other day-to-day issues that arise. Also, the Public Works Superintendent gave the Capital Works update. The Kickoff meeting for the Blevitt project was held on February 18th. The contractor will be on site April 18th and working 10-hour days, Monday to Friday. It's estimated that it will take 55 days to complete the project. It is expected substantial completion date on June 3rd, 2022. Next, the SCADA project has begun and one change order has been in effect for basket strangers for Jersey Side Pump House, and Pennicon is the contractor. RFP documents for engineering for the Jersey Side Stormwater project have been reviewed by the town and returned to the provincial engineers, but have not been released to date. Also, the committee will update on other applications information as it is received. It was explained to the committee that the town has no input over the choice of engineers and for any of the above projects, that each has to have its own RFP issued. Therefore, the town could be dealing with different engineers for all our different projects that we'll have on the go for this summer. Other business arising, discussion was held on the reliability of the hot water tanks at the arena. Public Works Superintendent advised that the tanks are sufficient and they've been used there for decades, so he has no concerns. Arena staffing, the Public Works Superintendent has notified the committee that the former security officer at the arena will assume the position of arena attendant, which has recently been vacated. Meeting was adjourned at 7:20 p.m. That's it for me. Any comments or questions?
I got a couple of questions and then I guess we can move on. One of the things with regards to the engineers on the project, the town has been in contact and the CAO has been in contact with Department of Transportation to try to get this engineering moving along, to get these projects moving along. So like these are very important projects to get moving as quickly as possible. We've reached out to them and let them know our concerns. We could have 5 projects with 5 different engineering companies, and that is very hard to maneuver and to handle for, say, Public Works Supervisor. So
Yes.
there are concerns with regards to that. And I know the CAO has reached out to the government on them issues. The other thing I got a question about, maybe you can answer for me, is regards to with regards to the gas purchase of the 3.5 cents. Do we need a tender or a motion to approve that, or is that just within the confines of what we're doing within the town, no different than also?
Well, it's a standing offer. So I don't see why we would.
And also with the low bidder on pest controls at $360, maybe the CAO or the Public Works Superintendent can give us an answer on why that would not be going to a motion?
I'll refer to the supervisor of Public Works.
Okay. It falls under the procurement of what it would cost for us on a yearly basis. So the standing offer agreement was basically for the gas that comes back to with an extension of the existing unit and got prices. The only 2 options were there. So I don't feel that required a motion of council. And as for the cabin pest control, that falls within the spending limit.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah, that's it for Public Works.
Any other questions? Anyone?
Yeah, I got one question, Mr. Mayor, and it's concerning the arena. I know there last week there was some concern from some of the residents as they were calling the arena and they couldn't seem to get a hold of no one and the numbers were being forwarded out. I'm just wondering if there was an issue going on last week that the phone lines were down or what the case may be up there. That the phone number for the arena was directed to another phone line outside of the arena.
Go ahead.
Mayor, I know that there was issues up in the arena with the telephone system last week. Jonathan, CAO or the Public Works Superintendent could probably expand on that.
I can speak on that. It wasn't forwarded outside the arena. It was a internal town cell phone it was forwarded to based on issues with the 3996 number. So it was, that was just forwarded to another town cell phone, which was in the arena attendant's possession. So it wasn't forwarded outside.
Thanks.
Was there issues, there was issues with the phone line itself, I guess, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
There was issues with the line, wasn't it, Public Works Superintendent?
Yes, there was
Coming in?
issues with the line and they're continuous.
Yeah.
There's been improvement with cell phone at this point.
Anything else for the Public Works and Safety? Hearing none, we'll move on to the Recreation Committee. Councillor Fitzpatrick.
Thank you, Mayor. We met on March 7th. In attendance was myself as chair, Councillor Williams, Councillor Wilson, Public Works Superintendent, Mr. Adam Green, and Special Projects Coordinator, Ms. Debbie Gear. We had some discussion items. We have no recommendations. We had some discussion on the Chamber of Commerce's Trail Committee, and they are working on proposals for the development of the trail system through Placentia and for branding and marketing of the same. Members of the committee, so I did attend a meeting with respect to the Hike Placentia, and they had met with staff of the town and got a copy of the townscape plan. They are looking at some upgrading and accessibility, which is also being discussed of the best place in order to put that. We had a meeting with the Freshwater Community Center, the CAO did, and myself, to look at what the financial request is from Freshwater Community Center to run the summer recreation program, which was deferred to the Finance Committee. And one of the other pieces that we talked about was the new Economic Development Officer position for the town when hired will also help in assisting in planning this program. We had some extensive discussion on ball field upgrades. There have been some monies committed to ball field upgrades in this year's budget to upgrade the batters boxes and mounds in Placentia and Dumbville and the warning tracks in both fields and to repair some fencing. And we do have a light that was damaged in Dumbville. We're also going to engage a professional to assess the safety of all the lights in Dumbville to ensure that they are safe. And we are applying for assistance under the community living program for the assistance with the installation of netting in the Dumbville ball field. We talked about the proposed volleyball court. So looking at a recreation volleyball court in Placentia and looking at the costs of posts and netting, they're still being determined, and it looks as though that the recommendation or the best option may be for grass in playing for the surface for that. We discussed some facility updates with respect to, there's been some talk around and moving towards an accessibility playground. So there was further conversation on that and the possibility of what our options are for an appropriate site. The tennis and basketball courts need new rims, and these will be assessed and repaired under our spring maintenance. And there's also cracks in the facilities at some of these locations. And we also looked at storage options. So one of the things that was brought forward was looking at purchasing boards for the Unity Park to section the ice into 2 ice surfaces. And this would be a safety precaution for the younger hockey players or other individuals, younger individuals that may want to split the ice as well. So that's been explored with respect to costs and storage, where we would store those. We're also conducting research on the cost and upkeep of having sponsored panels on the boards. So on the inside of the rink, in a lot of stadiums, you do see advertising being done by businesses. And so we're looking at the option of possibly doing that as well. And that will also generate revenue for the arena. Other than that, that was all of our discussion for our recreation committee. So if anybody has any questions.
Anybody got any questions? The only one I have with regards to the ball fields, I know drainage and that was talked about and some concerns with the ball fields. When you bring, is it the intent of the committee to bring in a professional look at the fields to look for upgrades and things we can do? I think the goal would be to bring that to a level that we could have like, hold provincial competitions and stuff and drive economic development by bringing people in the community that way. I don't know if the committee had looked at anything with that, just a question.
So my understanding, and the Public Works Supervisor can correct me if I'm not saying the correct information, but that is a much larger scale project, Mayor, and the upgrade to the batters boxes and mounds in the Placentia and Dunville is one of the pieces that need to be done first. And the Public Works Supervisor can elaborate on that if I'm incorrect in saying that.
No, that is
We-
correct, but we will be talking to
Yeah.
professionals and getting their opinion on the
Yeah.
drainage of the field and see where it takes us.
All right, that sounds good. I know a lot of communities are using 709 and are doing a lot of field work and I guess looking at it and giving professional opinions. Thank you. That's it for that committee. We'll move on to Tourism, Economic and Development Committee, Deputy Mayor Powell.
Thank you, Your Worship. Our committee met on March the 8th via Zoom, myself as chair, joined by Councillor Power and Councillor Smith, the CAO, the Manager of Tourism, Marketing Communications, and the Executive Assistant were also present. Among our discussions, we have no recommendations, but among our discussions, planning is moving forward now for the Business Incentive Award ceremony, tentatively scheduled for middle of May, and planning is ongoing for that right now. The Trails Project was another topic of discussion. Hike Placentia, of course, a committee under the Chamber of Commerce. Similar discussion to what Councillor Fitzpatrick just highlighted, identifying opportunities there and moving forward with funding, and they've asked for a letter of support to go along with that. The Town Square revitalization. We have been in discussion for some time with funding agencies on making some improvements, and we're right now working at finalizing some planning for that, including the design of an outdoor stage and some other accompanying improvements to both the Town Square and the Arts Centre as part of that. So that is ongoing. And we also briefly discussed a project that Placentia Lions has ongoing. And if anyone has seen some improvements at the green space down by McKendrick Street and Prince William Drive, or across from Lawton's Drugs, there are some improvements going ahead there and more to come. Should be some interesting features that will improve that space for the enjoyment of locals and visitors. Another piece we had, we're in the process of making a request to Parks Canada to get some information on what their upcoming season brings and any improvements or things they may be planning for the National Historic Site. And that was our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to the Planning, Development and Community Enhancement Committee. Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A meeting of the Planning, Development, Community Enhancement Committee took place on March 7th. In attendance was myself, Mike Williams, the chair, Councillor Fitzpatrick, Councillor Wilson, Public Works Superintendent Adam Green, and Special Projects Coordinator Debbie Gear. There were no recommendations brought forth by the committee. However, there was some permit applications. The Public Works Superintendent reported that the following permits were approved since the last meeting. 2 accessory building permits at 24 Freckle Place and 22 Burnt Woods were approved. Both permits required that materials on the exterior of accessory buildings be complementary to existing structures, be completed as per the application submitted, and adhere to development regulations. 2 Crown land applications were considered. 1 piece of land behind 1374 Main Road, Dunville, meets with town approval for the purpose of residential extension. Crown's lands will be advised that this is not a permit to construct. And a section of land behind the Tour Chalet in Argentia meets with town approval for the purpose of economic development. Two other applications were held pending further review. Construction of a new residence on Church Road will be backlot development as per the application. This application is deferred to the next meeting. Extension of an existing residence at 170 Jersey Side Hill has been deferred. This property is located in a heritage area and in flood risk area and will require Department of Water Resources approval. The application will be reviewed and brought back to the next meeting. 2 other applications for permits were approved as per development regulations. A vendor permit for Phillips Cafe Mobile Catering Taste Wagon was approved pending approval of all other government agencies, including issuance of food service license. And a taxi permit was issued to Attaway Taxi to December 31st, 2022. Update on municipal enforcement officer, an update on dilapidated properties was reviewed. Some owners have received their first notice while others have been contacted a second time. There are still more first notices to go out. The municipal enforcement officer will keep the committee apprised of the process. And that was it for the planning and development committee. Any questions?
Any questions for Councillor Williams? Glad to see they're moving ahead on dilapidated properties and getting some letters out. Certainly good to see that. Certainly something that I think this council is strong on, is trying to get our community cleaned up with regards to non-sightly properties. Thank you, Councillor Williams. Last but not least, we'll move on to the Marketing and Special Events Committee. Councillor Power.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Marketing and Special Events Committee met on March 8th, 2022 via Zoom at 6 p.m. In attendance was myself as chair, Councillor Kay Smith, Deputy Mayor Wayne Power, Manager of Tourism Marketing and Communication, Ms. Power, CAO, Mr. Galgay, and Executive Assistant, Ms. Smith. We had some discussion, include up some final prizes that were awarded today for the Winter Carnival. Some business arising. The Paddy's Day Family Fun Walk and Run event went ahead the past weekend. They had a good turnout and better cooperated. So, and I'd like to thank all the volunteers that helped make this community event possible. Some new business arising. We do have one recommendation. The committee recommends the council approve a half-page colored advertisement in the Down Homer magazine at a cost of $13.49 plus HST.
Moved by Councillor Power, seconded by Councillor Smith. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion carries.
Our special events schedule for 2022 is in the final stages, so that will be posted this week. And now that we have, the province has lifted COVID restrictions, we'll help bring that forward. We have some highlights that we talked about was the Voices Festival. The Sencha 350 committee are in the planning, and the funding application has been submitted. And also the Freshwater Come Home year, we're in talks with them, and all that schedule will be posted for the different events they have scheduled for the Come Home year. And the Community in Bloom, this is the year of the garden, so there will be a upcoming proclamation and more to come on that in days. And we are also in the process of reviewing our marketing plan, so that's in the process. And that's all we talked about. Thank you.
Anything else with Councillor Power? Any questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to correspondence. Anything in this correspondence? Any questions or comments? We're moving along tonight, I'm telling you. We'll do other business of council. Start with Councillor Williams. Any questions? Any other business? Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, I'd just like to remind everyone out there, even though I know all the alert levels are changed now and we're pretty well match free in the province, I'd just like to remind people, you know, with the upcoming weekend, we know there's going to be a lot of socializing, I guess is probably the right word to use. Just be careful when you're out there, try not to get up in people's faces too much, I guess, while you're all drinking your green beer and everything. So just be mindful of that, because even though the restrictions are lifted, Omicron is still here. It's still pretty significant, especially in the town of Essentia. There's a lot of COVID on the go, so try to be mindful of that. I'd also like to remind residents out there, with this being come home year and with come home year celebrations going on in 2022, I think it'd be great if all residents could pay a little bit extra attention to the properties this year. And we are expecting a lot of tourists in the town this year for the come home year, so I think it's important that we present the town in a great light, so it bodes well for us going forward. And other than that, that's pretty well all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Even though Councillor Williams is working, he joined us from Nova Scotia. Thank you for your dedication. Councillor Smith.
I'd just like to say, every other day I look out the window and see trikes on the boardwalk. And remind everybody, trikes are not permitted on the boardwalk. So, I mean, it could be very dangerous, right?
Trikes are not permitted on the roads either. And I met one yesterday driving the main road coming down through Dunville, just like he was a motor car. There is issues with trikes around the town, and people should drive them accordingly, and definitely not on our boardwalk where people feel safe and walking. So maybe we can erect some signs or do something to keep an eye on that, or municipal enforcement officer to keep an eye out.
Yeah.
Something that should not be happening.
Yeah, while the kids were waiting for the school bus the other day over here, there was a trike went right straight up the road, all out. I mean, the buses were coming and people were there, so.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Anything else?
No, that's me.
Councillor Wilson.
I'm good, thank you.
Councillor Power.
I'm good, thank you. Happy
Thank-
Paddy's Day, everyone.
Thank you for putting off the Paddy's Day event, the walk within the community, and thank you for the staff and the pictures and everybody who helped out in every way to make that happen. Thanks a lot. Councillor Fitzpatrick
I'm good, thanks.
and Deputy Mayor.
I just want to reiterate something you brought up in your executive committee report regarding the policing. I hope we get that meeting set up with the local detachment, so we can determine then what direction we have to go to get them the support they need to return the service that's expected here in our community. So hopefully we'll get that up and moving rather quickly. It's been dragged out now long enough. We need to have those discussions so we can either support them and hopefully change what we're seeing here. That's it. Thank you.
I agree. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just got a couple of things. As you know, last week, the town did have some closures and some challenges with staffing. I'd like to thank the management and staff and the CAO, who certainly stepped up when was needed to make sure the town operated efficiently and the business of the people still got done. So first of all, let me thank the staff, management, and everyone for that, and the CAO. Second thing, I did have a resident reach out regarding the bus stop in Southeast. I did forward. I know there was conversations about it. I did note to them that there was agreements to put a bus stop in Southeast one time. I know land is an issue with regards to that, and obtaining it. So, I mean, just ask Public Works to continue to look at that and find a way we can get that done. They'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you. And the last thing is, I believe it's on March the 10th, myself and the Deputy Mayor, we're at a walkabout of the Argentia Terminal with the Minister of Transportation and MP McDonald. There was no funding announcement at the time, but Deputy Mayor did have conversations with people and did let me know that they did have a meeting after we had left. We were not invited to that meeting, unfortunately. But I believe that we probably will see some upgrades in the future to the terminal in Argentia. There was some conversations when we were walking and doing a tour about the infrastructure that was needed to bring that place up to a standard that was acceptable with regards to double loading of the ferries, some of the docking at the terminal. I know that the president also of Marine Atlantic was there, who talked about a few things. So hopefully, even though there was no announcement, hopefully we'll hear something in the future with regards to the Atlantic Terminal in Argentia. I guess something that we talked about before with regards to when the road was cut off to the west coast, to the east coast, that is something that was needed in order to handle dangerous goods and handle the chain supply. So hopefully we'll hear something about that in the future. And I guess we'll reach out to the transportation minister with a letter thanking him for his time. He did, he did go out of his way to come to Argentia to look at the terminal, which is a good thing. So hopefully we'll see reap some benefits of that. Other than that, that is it for me. Motion to adjourn the meeting. Moved by Councillor Wilson, seconded by Councillor Smith. Meeting adjourned.